Conservatives over the National Review are getting a little concerned about the behavior and the mental state of former President Donald Trump. The senior writer for the conservative publication C.W. Cook recently wrote on the magazine's website that the scale of Trump's delusion is quite, quote unquote, startling. Yes, startling. No kidding. I'm just gonna have to ask C.W. Cook, and maybe this is an unfair question, unfair assertion, but where have you been for the last 4 years? Honest question. Maybe you've written stuff against Donald Trump before, previously, calling into question his mental faculties and his estate, right? But if you haven't, and if you just noticed, you're a little late to the party, brother. I'm just saying, he's mental. There's something literally wrong with Donald Trump. He is running around fully immersed, balls deep into conspiracies. The guy is high in his own supply because I believe, and I'm not I'm not a psychiatrist or anything like that, but I think the guy is emotionally and mentally damaged. There is something wrong with him. Normal people don't act like this. Normal people do not act like this. Anyway, Cook said, and again, I'm not trying to be ableist here. Like, the guy needs some obvious help. All right. Sociopathy, something like that. There's something wrong with the dude. Okay. Anyway, now Cook said, quote, that an array of different sources confirmed a report earlier this week by the New York Times journalist Maggie Haberman, who said on Twitter that Trump has been sharing the popular new QAnon conspiracy. Of course, that's the reinstatement conspiracy. In fact, he said, look, you know, I've been talking about this nonstop for like at least the last week. He thinks, oh, in August, they're going to reinstate me as president of the United States. I'm going to be president. Mike Pillow tells me. His pillows, by the way, absolutely tremendous. Very comfortable. Nobody could have ever imagined a pillow that is that comfortable. Tremendous pillows. Also, I believe he likes to share his crack with me. Oh, okay. Imagine believing Mike Pillow. All right? Seriously. Holy crap. Or people like Lynn Wood or Sidney Powell. Let me tell you who they are. Those are all vultures. And Donald Trump is a bloated corpse. I'm just saying. Now, Cook went further, saying that Trump not only believes he'll be put back in the Oval Office, but also that he will be gifted with a Republican majority once he has done so. Again, going back to the whole, the election was totally invalid, and so since that's invalid, it means every election, every Democrat, by the way, every Democrat that got elected, obviously totally invalid, so they're going to get replaced by Republicans, because Republicans are the so-called true leaders of this country. Okay. Now, of course, I got to ask, based on what? There's absolutely no evidence of that, but they don't need evidence. They don't need evidence. They don't need facts. They live in their own completely different reality. All right. But anyway, more of Cook. He said, this is not merely an eccentric interpretation of the facts or an interesting foible, nor is it an irrelevant example of the anguished post-presidency chatter. Let me just stop right there. Cook is, yes, he's making valid points, but why does he need to write like a douchebag? Maybe this is just like a personal thing. Maybe this is just like, I'm tired of people like, what does this guy bring up I can't even say that word. The thesaurus. See, this is douchebaggy writing. Swear to God. And maybe I'm just like tired, but like, you don't have to sit there and, and write like that. Just talk like a normal human being. And again, the elitist, writers over on the conservative side, they want to sound like super smart. Okay, I get it. Like, you're smart. Sure. Write like a normal human being, for God's sakes. Come on. But anyway, he continues by saying, and he's right, it is a rejection of reality, a rejection of law, and ultimately a rejection of the entire system of the American government. And again, he's absolutely right. It's very true. It's incredibly obvious. And understand that, yeah, of course, conservatives know this. They've known this for a long time, obviously. Mainly the ones who are, only conservative because they want to pay nothing in taxes or low taxes, right? And that's really it. Understand, and I pointed this out before, there's two different types of conservatives. There's the economic conservatives that are like, I don't care. I just want to pay less in taxes, get the government off my back. I want to save money. I don't really care about helping poor people, especially if poor people happen to be black. All right? And then there's the other side. Then there's the people who don't have the money, who will stand for incredibly wealthy CEOs and corporations, mainly because, again, you talk about racism, and then you have conspiracy theories and all that stuff. Okay? Now, the rich people who just want to pay less in taxes, they're not idiots. No, they're smart people, they're business owners, etc. And they're looking at the QAnon stuff and they're like, y'all are crazy. What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? All I want to do, just shut your mouth, okay? Keep voting for Republican politicians, obviously, but not people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who are insane. I just want to go back to paying less in taxes and not giving a shit about poor people. Why are you doing this? Why are you making us look bad? And I feel like Cook is part of that group of Republicans. Shut the fuck up. Just shut up and let us have low taxes, for God's sakes. Holy shit. You're going to ruin it for me, guys. Shut up. Now, of course, the key issue here is it is now very taboo in the party to speak against the conspiracy right, which used to be considered a fringe in the party, but has gained prominence over the last decade. Again, it's not Donald Trump's fault. He capitalized on this, but the conspiracy element has always been a part of the Republican Party. Now they have been absolutely elevated by people like Trump and Trumpists and the Fox Newses of the world and the conservative media. They've basically taken over. Okay. And again, it's now heresy in the party to speak against conspiracies like QAnon or even against Donald Trump, because again, the base believes it. And it is and it's really a problem of their own making. They did this to themselves. The elites primed their followers to believe in everything or anything. Hey, magic sky fairy watching you masturbate? Sure. Totally real. Jesus gonna hoover people up into heaven, despite, that part, the rapture, not actually being a part of the Bible. They believe it 100%. Absolutely. The evangelicals. Trickle-down economics. Boosting the wealth of the poor and the middle class. Well, you know what? Something's going to trickle down on you, but it ain't wealth. All right? They have been taught to believe that in things that are not true. And those things ultimately are distractions in order to allow the billionaires and millionaires to extract wealth. It's true. Prosperity gospel, great example of that. The megachurch owners, the Joel Osteens of the world, the politicians that are bought by corporations, the wealthy CEOs. These are the people the Republican Party actually end up serving at the end of the day. But it turns out, of course, that those policies are not popular. They're just not. Okay? As a working class person, ask them, right? Ask a working class person, you think Jeff Bezos deserves another extra $1 billion while you're working your ass off for minimum wage? He's going to tell you, no. Fuck Jeff Bezos. Fuck Amazon. I actually want to get paid. I want to get paid, fairly for my work. And most, working class people are going to say that, okay? More often than not, you're going to find people who want to make more money at the expense of billionaires being slightly less rich. Taxing the rich is actually incredibly popular across all lines, all political leanings. So now how do you get, so then how do you get people to vote against their own class interests? Well, they got to trick people with conspiracies, culture war bullshit, and inundate them constantly with rage bait. And that's it. The result, of course, of all of that is that you end up turning off the people's, the logic center in people's brains, and then you keep them angry, you feed them lies, and then you get them constantly voting for Republicans. And of course, at the end of the day, you also end up getting people like Marjorie Taylor Greene voted in office as well. And so we've kind of reached like end stage peak Republicanism where the crazies have taken over and they run the asylum. Okay. And of course, racism. It's always been a part of the Republican Party, or I should say not of the Republican Party, but of the conservative movement in general, which has changed parties going all the way back to civil rights. But again, conservatives like Cook, they know this. They realize that Donald Trump has gone too far and that the conspiracy element of the party has taken over. And so, and they also know that it threatens to obliterate the idea of conservatives taking power for decades. Again, that's why most Republicans now, even though, especially the ones that are the wealthy ones, the want tax cuts, they're like, no, we're going to keep pushing voter ID. We're going to make sure to not, allow people to vote. Liz Cheney is an excellent example of that. You got Liz Cheney, it's like, oh, big lie, big lie, big lie. Can't believe in the big lie. Donald Trump's lying about this, but also we need to do massive voter ID. And we need to do voter purges, and we need to make sure that, Democrats don't pass voting rights. Well, there's a reason. She knows. It's all about keeping their power, centralizing their power, and making sure that they don't lose elections, to continue to serve their donors and themselves. That's really it. And so the thing is that they don't want to see is that they don't want to see people, who think about the Republican Party, seeing Donald Trump, the QAnon shaman guy, 500,000 people dead from COVID-19, and obviously January 6th. That's not a good place for your party to be, and they realize this. And by the way, I am saying this as somebody who doesn't give a shit about the Republican Party as an institution. Unlike Nancy Pelosi, I do not believe that we need a strong Republican Party. I believe the Republican Party is an absolute disaster and a cancer in the country. I'm just saying, fuck them. Let the Republican Party die, because after all, they did this to themselves. My view as a leftist is the United States of America is better off without the current Republican Party. Let the Democrats take over in the center right and have a new leftist party. That would be fantastic. That's what I would love to see. If we're going to be stuck with a duopoly, I'd at least have a left-wing party for once. But right now, the Republican Party has descended into complete and utter madness. And Donald Trump is the final form, if you will, the final evolution of the final boss, okay? And anybody who can see the reality knows that following him is going to lead them right off a cliff. Cook also wrote that Trump is, quote, so unmoored from the real world that it is hard to know where to begin in attempting to explain him. Look, what's to explain at this point? Honestly, we all know who he is. Okay, and the Republican base right now overwhelmingly approves because he says and does the things that they want. They love him. So at the end of the day, Mr. Cook, you get yourself a real problem, son. And unfortunately, your problem is the rest of our problem because of the way that the system is. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.